to Tiger. With me is Murad. Say hello.
Myriad.
Oh, Myriad, sorry. And we got
All good.
the infamous and the most popular Cord Kitty.
Oh
Say hello.
yeah.
Now, this is the first episode for my podcast. And as time goes on, we're going to add more people that are, well, interested in this topic, such as furry related or like. But this first episode, we're going to add a little introductions here and there, and then, which we already did, and then talk about Cord Kitty. Well, so Cord, before I start saying this, but don't get offensive. I heard rumors about you all over on YouTube. Is that true?
Nope, the rumors are not true, and surprisingly enough, they're actually all from one source. That source being probably one of the most famous neo Nazis in the world, Joshua Connor Moon. He is somebody who is kind of known for owning a website called Kiwi Farms, which it basically what it does is it goes around saying that they document gossip when really they actually produce it, like almost like a factory. Um, and they're anonymous, so just like any sort of anonymous troll, their goal is to troll people, and they do so with stunning efficiency.
Wow.
Wow.
Honestly, though, like that reminds me of this person that I met. But Cord, what do you do for a living? Like, what do you do?
Well, let's see. At the moment, I'm basically working in manufacturing. They kind of have me do lots of different jobs at there, and at the present, what I've been doing for the past month has been, or past 2 or 3 months, has been very boring. It's been more like recycling and taking out cardboard and getting that all fixed up. So pretty simple stuff at the moment. But I still enjoy it a lot. I think the biggest thing I enjoy is I could listen to music. During it, and that's for me the best part. I could listen to podcasts too. Actually, lately I've been listening to a lot of podcasts surrounding genealogy because that's my other passion outside of the fandom. So I'm learning a lot.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
So, fun fact: I was actually in Cord's podcast, and I decided to make my own with Cord. So, tell me about the podcast you made, Cord.
Well, basically, I started it maybe almost a decade ago, and I would just sort of bring a bunch of random people together, random firsts together on Skype originally, had everyone talk and just talk about random topics on their mind. And we already got to 50 episodes, and yeah, it's turned out to be really cool. It's kind of funny. There's actually, if you look at our playlist, there's only you'll only see 48 episodes, and there's a very specific reason for that. We had a furry named Bandit who apparently he didn't like his interview very much, so he threatened a lawsuit if we don't take it down. I was like, okay, fine. So that was,
Oh,
Ooh,
wow.
and then
ooh.
the other episode I decided to take down was we interviewed the infamous Foxler, the founder and leader of Furry Raiders. Now, Foxler is, in my opinion, probably one of the most notorious human beings who has ever been in the fandom. I feel like he has become um, kind of a symbol of um, everything that people dislike. It just in reality, because
Ooh.
he does
Oh,
yeah, he does a lot of things that are just absolutely well, socially unacceptable, and a lot of, like, for example, kind of making kind of light or fun of um, the Holocaust through his armband that looks kind of like
oh, wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we all kind of,
So,
if you don't know who
is he
Foxer is.
notorious only inside the fandom or outside of as well?
Oh, outside as well. Look, there's actually a famous Rolling Stones article which talked about how the far right has penetrated the furry fandom and has a picture of him. So yeah, no, he's kind of become the face of not only right wing extremism, but kind of what the majority of the fandom wants to try and remove from the fandom. So, and when I interviewed him, he said a lot of things that I don't believe were honest. Um, so and
Mm.
I had a lot of people kind of give me flack for it, and they're like, "Look, this is this is seriously a bad decision to have this episode up. And I kind of started agreeing. I'm like, you know what? The problem is the episode, like he says a bunch of stuff and he tries to make himself sympathetic, but I don't think he should be a sympathetic figure. And probably it's immoral for me to have that episode up online anymore. So I have it down as unlisted for now.
Yeah, no, I
Hmm.
saw an interesting thing recently where like it's good to have to see both sides of the argument, but if one side is just way too out there, then you're not really getting a medium perspective, you know? So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think just the bottom line is if you are if sorry if you make a bunch of really bad choices, it's hard for people to really kind of want to support you in any way. And I feel like talking to somebody in an interview is kind of like a way of supporting someone. So I'm not, you know, that's
agreed.
problematic. And I'm okay with talking about, talking to kind of fringe weird people, but I think he's not an example of someone who's just fringe weird. I think he's simply somebody who chooses immorality over morality, and that's not something to be promote in any form.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah,
well,
Furry Raiders is just absolutely. I mean, he founded it, and I think everybody who is anybody has already been told what Furry Raiders is, and it's been kind of problematic. I mean, obviously, there's some ex members that have, or or current members that might disagree, but it's
you-
when you have an armband that looks like the Nazi armband, except it has a paw print. Obviously, um, there's gonna be there's gonna be a lot of people who are
That's
gonna
a little
say
hilarious.
you're there's gonna be a lot of people saying like, hey, that's bad.
Yeah.
Common sense.
One thing I wanted to ask Jay was what
now,
inspired you to start this podcast?
start a podcast. Well, since since I was in Cord's podcast, which by the way, I was in on YouTube, check it out. Um, since I was in Cord's podcast, I was like, you know what? I might as well start a podcast with Cord because he's the expert and I'm just the person who makes ideas for it. So I asked Cord if we could do a podcast together, like make it or whatever. And he said that's a good idea. Go ahead. And that's me and Cord decided. Well, I mostly decided, but Cord is the one who inspired me to make these podcasts and do it for a living. Hopefully, it'll
Nice.
hopefully it'll keep me inspired and make more podcasts someday.
Yeah, I mean you gotta start somewhere,
Um,
right?
so Cord, I heard, well, not me, but my friend who's on, by the way, who's on Xbox, by the way, and he saw your video or the video that people say you had a bad reputation, and I don't believe that honestly. Like you are a great friend. So, what would you say to the fans, to the viewers, if they see a video about like someone that they're friends with and then they see them having a bad reputation on YouTube or whatever? What would you say to them?
Well, I'd say try to ask yourself kind of the common sense questions, like, okay, if this person did something immoral, when did they do it? Every single crime, moral or ethical or legal, takes place on a date. And you'll see, I mean, anybody, like, I mean, every single
Mm-hmm.
person who's ever been convicted of a crime, or if there's any article about a crime, there's a date. And if you notice a rumor about somebody and there's no dates attached, ask yourself, why not? A victim of a crime, a victim of something like that, or a witness of something immoral should be able to say, oh, yes, on this date, this person did this thing. And if it doesn't have the date, why not? You have to ask yourself, um, in a fandom where lying will actually kind of get you more power, then you have to kind of ask yourself, okay, what is the agenda here? What is the primary purpose for this, for some sort of call out post? And unfortunately, I think part of cancel culture, call out culture is really it's all about ostracization, really trying to um, rip people out of their relationships, and there's something a little bit psychotic about it. And I find myself disagreeing with the voices that say it has to do with accountability because I think it's very rarely about accountability.
Now, one last question before we wrap up this podcast. Um, so to everyone who's watching this, if you don't know who I am, yet again, I am Jay. I'm a saber-tooth tiger. Cord, we got Mirad, or that. Sorry, tongue tied.
No, that's all right.
If I pronounce it wrong,
Myriad. It's a word that means a
Myriad.
variety of things.
Oh, okay. And I would recommend following these guys. I would recommend following Cord because even though people say they spread rumors, he is a great friend. I would recommend following this guy.
It,
And the
y-
last question is,
well,
what would
could
you
I say something
say?
else? I want to say something else.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
what
Go ahead.
the rumors about me, a lot of them have kind of this, receipt culture. It's like, oh, if I've got a receipt of something, then it absolutely happened. So the thing of what Kiwi Farms does, it's actually kind of clever, but also kind of crazy. What they do is they take a screenshot, they make up the most crazy description about it humanly possible, then they go around saying that that crazy description is substantiated by the receipt being the screenshot. That formula is effectively what has caused my reputation to be bad to begin with because it's such a brilliant formula. Um, because so the
Yeah.
concept is pretty complicated, and a lot of people are kind of not. When you mention Kiwi Farms, a lot of people are like, "Oh, just a bunch of stupid little trolls." Like, no, there's actually a little bit of brilliant design in how these people are able to coalesce and motivate literally thousands of people to um, harass, bully, dox somebody. I mean, it's through that
Yeah,
method.
no, that's part of what I've been worried about, like over the years. Like, as long as you like stay on Twitter and like someone just like, you know, makes something bad about you, just they don't like you for some reason, then it could really ruin you for a long time.
And like the majority of people out there, they don't want both sides of the story. They just kind of they kind of react to whoever lies first, and that's kind of unfortunately what makes a lot of Twitter culture what it is. There's a lot of misinformation going around, and people don't want to get both sides. They kind of want to feel stimulated. They want to go like they want to hear something crazy, wild, and and that's what the algorithm really makes people attracted to. If you look at that, the algorithm of every bit of social media, it makes people kind of now expect that these crazy, wild rumors, this crazy, wild misinformation is true. That um, they kind of become this primal being where they have these extreme emotions going around, and then their rational civil self is abandoned. So I want to remind everyone to stay civil, stay rational, and understand that there is a logical explanation for every single crazy rumor out there, and none of those explanations involve well, any truth to the rumors, basically.
Okay. Well, before we end off this video or this podcast or whatnot, doesn't matter where you watching it, or listening it to, make sure to, if you really want to see more podcasts like this, let me and Cord know. Cord will post it on Twitter or on YouTube, doesn't matter where he sends it, as long as you like this podcast. All right,
yeah.
that's the
And
end
can I
of
say one
this.
last thing?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just realized that all three of us, Cord, Jay, and myself, are felines.
Meow.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, I am a snow leopard. I believe, Cord, are you a house cat?
American short hair, 100%.
Nice. And Jay is
And
a
I
saber
am a
tooth.
saber-tooth tiger.
Yeah.
All right, that's the end of the podcast. Remember, keep in mind, do not trust anything you see. Reputation has messed up everyone right now.
Yeah, yeah, and another thing, if you don't like the principle that there are two sides to every story, just imagine if there's a hate mob going after you. Wouldn't you want to remind them the same thing? Treat others how you want to be treated. That's the golden rule.
All right, that's the end of the podcast.